So when he comes out of sedation, I'm sure anybody who gets shot will tell you who shot them, right?
Yeah.
When someone's been shot, it's common for them to immediately point out their attacker. But we've got to approach this situation with a level of respect and care, or things could escalate dangerously. The stakes are high here, and it seems like Terrence has found himself caught in a web of drama he may have underestimated. Why? Because Katt Williams has dropped a bombshell, accusing Terrence of being targeted for elimination, and the shocking part, he's naming Diddy as the one behind it. Now, given the history between these two, it's not all that surprising. Terrence stirred the pot when he publicly made some serious allegations against Diddy, claiming that the mogul tried to harm him in ways that are hard to ignore. And with Diddy currently facing legal battles over similar accusations, it's easy to see why he might be trying to keep certain details under wraps. What's got people talking now is the fact that Katt Williams suggests Terrence might know more than he's letting on about Diddy's past. Did he inadvertently drop hints during his podcast appearance? If that's the case, Terrence might have just walked into a situation much bigger than he anticipated, and he should definitely be keeping a close eye over his shoulder moving forward. If there's anyone who's not afraid to pull back the curtain on Diddy's world, it's definitely Katt Williams. The comedian has been on a mission to expose some of the more shocking details about the mogul, and his appearance on Club Shay Shay only added fuel to the fire. During the conversation, Katt dropped some jaw-dropping revelations about Diddy's infamous parties. According to him, these so-called freak-off gatherings were even more outrageous than the public ever realized. But that wasn't all. Katt also claimed that Diddy allegedly made an astonishing offer: $50 million for a one-night encounter. From the sounds of it, Diddy wasn't just trying to flaunt his wealth but seemed to be using it to control and manipulate situations in ways that raise serious questions. Whether these claims are fully true or not, they paint a much darker picture of Diddy's world. And it's clear that Katt Williams isn't holding back when it comes to spilling what he knows. Imagine being offered a staggering $50 million and turning it down. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet, that's exactly what Katt Williams claims he did. Not once but 4 times. According to him, he made this choice not for lack of temptation, but to preserve his integrity and, in his words, his virgin whole. He goes on to explain that Diddy, notorious for his extravagant lifestyle, has tried to lure him into his world of indulgent parties, but Katt was resolute in his refusals.
But if the police say nobody shot him, I believe nobody shot him. And if nobody shot him, that's the same.
He emphasized that he's got all the receipts to back up his story, making it clear that his decision wasn't made lightly but rather as a conscious choice to protect what truly matters to him. Katt's transparency and refusal to compromise his values are key reasons why he feels confident speaking openly about what he's witnessed. He doesn't just talk, he walks the walk, and for anyone questioning his credibility, he insists that the proof is there, ready to be shown. If there's one thing Katt Williams has, it's the ability to back up his words with real, tangible evidence. When it comes to knowing the ins and outs of what's really happening, Katt Williams is a person who seems to have a clear view of the situation. So it's no surprise that he's now alleging there was a plan in motion to silence Terrence Howard. From the way things are unfolding, it appears Terrence may be holding back some crucial details. Despite the long list of accusations and concerning reports surrounding Diddy, many fans were still left stunned when Terrence shared his own unsettling experience with a mogul. His revelation only adds another layer of complexity to an already tangled web of allegations, raising more questions about what's really going on behind the scenes. Amidst the ongoing narrative surrounding Diddy, Terrence has come forward with claims about an uncomfortable encounter with the mogul. According to him, Diddy's advances were neither subtle nor discreet. They were bold and unapologetic, leaving little to the imagination. Terrence implied that Diddy's actions went far beyond a simple professional interaction or a casual chat. He was clearly pushing for something much more personal, something that made Terrence feel uneasy. This wasn't about business or small talk. It seemed like Diddy was pursuing a deeper, more intimate interest, and the way he expressed it left no room for misunderstanding. Terrence didn't hold back when he described the uncomfortable situation he found himself in with Diddy, and it's clear from his recounting that things quickly veered into uncomfortable territory. He shared how Diddy had repeatedly invited him to meet, under the guise of wanting him to be his acting coach. But when he arrived, Diddy wasn't focused on any material or acting techniques. Instead, he was just sitting there, almost expectantly, which left Terrence feeling uneasy. Things didn't stop there. Terrence was asked to listen to some of Diddy's music, but the whole encounter felt more like an awkward waiting game, with Diddy just staring at him, as though waiting for something more. It wasn't until later that Terrence's assistant suggested that Diddy wasn't looking for coaching at all. Rather, he might have had different intentions altogether. That's when the assistant hinted, "I think he's trying to sleep with you." For Terrence, it became clear that this wasn't about professional collaboration. It was about something much more personal, something that crossed boundaries. Terrence recalled how, after his assistant's comment, everything suddenly clicked for him. It became clear that Diddy's intentions were far from professional, and that realization led to an immediate decision to cut all communication. He made it known that there would be no more engagement with someone who crossed those boundaries. But it didn't stop there. Terrence spoke about how other producers had also tried to make their advances, only to be met with his unyielding response. He wasn't afraid to stand his ground, even threatening to physically confront anyone who disrespected him or treated him like less than a man. For him, it was a matter of principle. When a man's masculinity is challenged, the reaction is different than when you're dealing with someone who's less secure in their identity. He made it clear, there's a distinct line between a boy and a man, and when a real man walks into a room, he doesn't tolerate the disrespect that others might. Given Diddy's well-documented history of controversy, you'd think there wouldn't be much left to shock us by now. But Terrence's allegations still managed to take us by surprise. Credit where it's due. Diddy knows how to maintain that element of shock value, even after everything that's come to light. It's almost fascinating, isn't it? It makes you wonder if there's more we don't yet know, more secrets buried beneath the surface.
That was my only goal. I didn't want to get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me.
But it wasn't just Terrence's own experience that raised eyebrows. During the same interview, he revealed that he wasn't the only black man Diddy allegedly tried to pursue in such a way. This only adds more layers to an already complicated story, leaving us questioning just how far this pattern might stretch. Terrence made a chilling claim, suggesting that Diddy has developed a disturbing pattern of targeting black men, particularly at these notorious freak-off parties. According to him, these gatherings were not just wild affairs, but environments where Diddy allegedly sought to undermine the masculinity of black men, essentially attempting to strip them of their sense of identity and power. Terrence implied that this wasn't an isolated occurrence, and that there are likely others in the industry who have faced similar situations but are too scared or embarrassed to come forward. However, he chose not to name anyone, leaving the door open for further speculation. Terrence strongly suggested that Diddy's behavior was part of a larger, troubling pattern that specifically targets black men, especially when they're in vulnerable situations. He went on to explain that when a person's essence, whether it's a woman's nurturing role or a man's sense of masculinity, is compromised, the impact is profound. He described it as a loss of spiritual energy, something that once taken is hard to recover from. In his view, once a man's masculinity is stripped away, it's almost impossible for him to regain it, no matter the circumstances. This, according to Terrence, is what many of the men who attended Diddy's infamous parties went through, an irreversible change that left them fundamentally altered. Terrence suggested that those who engaged in such actions, believing there would be no consequences, were ultimately taken advantage of, driven by some overwhelming desire that caused them to lose their sense of self. This led people to wonder if Usher was one of those black men who had his masculinity taken by Diddy. While no one's claiming this happened directly, the persistent rumors have caused fans to start piecing things together. And as more dots are connected, a troubling pattern starts to emerge. What's even more surprising is that this wasn't even the most shocking part of the whole story. This wasn't the first time Terrence had spoken out about the troubling pattern he sees in the industry, where powerful figures seem intent on emasculating black men. He's been raising this alarm for some time now. In fact, when Katt Williams made his bold appearance on Club Shay Shay, tackling the same issue of how certain people in Hollywood seem fixated on breaking down strong black men, Terrence was one of the first to publicly support him. And he didn't just offer a quiet endorsement. Terrence came out swinging, fully backing Katt's claims and standing firm in his support. Terrence made it clear that this wasn't just a wild conspiracy, but something he believes is part of a real and troubling pattern in the entertainment industry. He argued that the emasculation of black men has become so normalized, it's often disguised as harmless fun or simply the way things are in Hollywood. For him, this was one of the main reasons he briefly walked away from the industry, despite his career being at a peak. He shared a powerful lesson his father taught him. Never let anyone take the backbone out of your body or the strength from your voice. I don't raise sheep, I raise men. Stay a man. That mantra, for Terrence, has been a guiding principle through the ups and downs of his career in an industry where staying true to your masculinity often feels like a challenge. Terrence expressed that being a man in today's society feels like a curse, especially because the world no longer seems built for men to truly thrive. He pointed out how much of the current cultural landscape has become androgynous, where success is increasingly linked to effeminacy. According to him, men are being pushed into a mold that strips away their power and strength, with white men being allowed to maintain their dominance, while a black man's strength is often seen as a threat. He made it clear that he wasn't willing to compromise who he is just to fit into someone else's narrative. Instead, he feels the need to broaden these narratives, allowing men to stand strong in their own identity without having to diminish themselves to suit the world's expectations. To be a man, and still admire and appreciate a woman's beauty, that's the balance Terrence believes in. But when you look at everything Terrence has said about the darker side of the entertainment industry, and how fearless he is when it comes to calling out the powerful figures who have crossed boundaries, you have to wonder, what was Diddy thinking when he tried to pull something like that with him? Terrence is the last person to stay silent about this kind of behavior. He's been vocal for years about the manipulative and exploitative tactics in the industry, so if Diddy thought he could pull a fast one on him, he clearly underestimated Terrence's willingness to speak out and expose the truth. Trying to intimidate Terrence into silence was a major miscalculation on Diddy's part, but then again, this is the same Diddy we're talking about, the epitome of arrogance. This is the man who allegedly invited 50 Cent on a shopping spree, clearly trying to flirt with him, despite knowing 50's entire career is built on dragging him and openly being his biggest critic.
The same nobody that shot Tupac. And if nobody shot Tupac, it's the same nobody that shot MLK. And if
Made it clear that if someone is going to speak out against him, they should do so with the same boldness and conviction it took for him to take a stand in the first place. His message was loud and clear, but it left a lot unsaid, fueling even more intrigue and speculation. When it comes to matters of truth, it's about facing things head-on, man to man, eye to eye, with integrity. I've spent years building the credibility to speak with the kind of conviction I do, and if someone wants to challenge that, they should do so directly, with respect, and face me like an equal. If you're going to question the facts, then back it up. Bring your own perspectives, challenge the reasoning with solid arguments. If you're going to question the theory, offer a competing one that holds weight. If you're going to critique the research, present your own findings. It's about engaging with substance, not just empty noise. When it comes to challenging ideas, it should be done with respect and intellectual rigor. If we're going to disagree, let's do it with solid arguments and thoughtful dialogue, or else we might as well settle it the old-fashioned way. And I don't mean metaphorically. I mean face-to-face, where only one side walks away. Whether it's with words, weapons, or logic, we have to approach this with seriousness and honor. It's not uncommon in Hollywood for people to face the consequences of speaking out. Silence is often expected, not asked for. So, when someone like Terrence starts voicing his truth, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary if some powerful individuals began to make their influence felt, sending threats or pressure his way. That's the reality when you disrupt the status quo. To make sure there's no confusion, he was clearly referencing the Diddy situation when he dropped the hashtag man card, a term he mentioned in his podcast. It's all about protecting that integrity at all costs and making sure you've got your back covered, because the risks are incredibly high right now. The stakes are off the charts, and the situation is as urgent as it gets. But now I want to hear what you all think. Drop your thoughts and comments below, and after that, be sure to check out the next video.